Alright, fellas, welcome to the second part of this series in which I'm playing as Poland to kind of give you all an intro to conflict of nations. Let's switch the view to political so we can get a much clearer view about the borders that we have. So, a couple of things have happened. I messaged Ukraine to be friendly, and he responded this. Then he got invaded, to which it was a quite a pleasant surprise. Then I created a coalition, and then I let Romania in because I wanted to secure that border. Doesn't mean we're gonna stay with him. I wanted to secure that border so I could go ahead and attack Belarus. We also messaged Germany, offered him to join. He hasn't responded, but before that, he did offer us a truce. So that border should remain peaceful, giving us a clear to go ahead and attack Belarus, which I have started already, as you can see, using my artillery to clear Brest, and Grodno was cleared by my striker and air superiority, and I'm using the aircraft as well to clear Minsk. A quick tip when using aircraft is to attack doing patrol. As you can see, there's a blue circle that anything that is within range of that blue circle is going to be engaged. I have also started the production of mobile AA. I did the research and I already have one unit over here, so that's gonna help us protect our skies. We have done also a couple of waves of infantry, so we can like build up our army and defend as well as conquer. So I can, for example, go for Belarus and still leave some infantry to defend my border with Germany. Also, I'm building a hospital so I can heal any troops that engage in combat, and also most importantly is for the aircraft, because the aircraft do sustain some damage over time if you are clearing troops, so I would send them back to my capital so they can be healed. Something else that we got started was our port and research for frigates, and we also started production. Frigates are great to defend against air attacks. They're the strongest naval unit for that. However, you have to research the corvette first and then the frigate. The corvette is really weak. I really don't like researching it. I prefer to wait and produce frigates. Later on, I would like to move on to destroyers. However, I need a level 3 port, and that's going to take resources, so I'm going to stick with the frigates until I have maybe 6. Gonna have to kind of produce them slowly because I have to also dedicate some components for my aircraft. Another note is that whenever I accepted Romania, he was weaker than he appeared because he was able to take down Ukraine. As you can see, he doesn't have too many troops, and he's not leaving infantry in his conquered cities, which is gonna create rogue. So that tells me that he's not very much experienced. So we might ditch him in the near future. It might be a cold move, but I really don't like having immediate neighbors that are weak, because if they fall, then the enemy is going to be at my doorstep, and I really don't want to have that situation happen here. It is very important to really limit the amount of wars you have open, because again, I couldn't possibly fight Germany, Belarus, and Ukraine at the same time. So that's the main reason we took Romania, just to secure that side, because he is active and aggressive because he took Ukraine literally. Germany, again, we secured that through diplomacy, and that left us the opening to attack Belarus. Something that we have to keep in mind is that, sure, we're building our Air Force, our Navy, then we have to start building our land troops. We already have some mobile AA, however, we need to keep leveling up our army bases so we can start building SAMs and then rocket launchers. I can also notice right away that I'm gonna be short on components. I have the aircraft, I have the ships, and I also have some buildings that I have to build. So the first building that we're gonna start maxing out, the arms industry, is going to be our components city. The last note I want to make before ending this part of the video is regarding Germany. Germany hasn't responded to our message and they start attacking Austria. They got a hold of Vienna, if I'm not wrong. Um, However, if we don't hear from him and we don't see any more advancement, then that means he has gone AFK. So we will probably want to move on Germany soon, if that's the case. Alright, a day has passed, and as we can see, we successfully took Belarus. We cleared the land troops with the strikers and artillery. We didn't use our infantry for any combat, so that's great. We are also taking the Baltic states, not because of production or points, but because there's a lot of action going on in Sweden and Finland. So we don't want any other countries doing stuff over there to then expand to like across the Baltic. We also messaged China. They have strong players in the Asian coalition. Wanted to join, however, they said no. And then Romania started leaving the coalition. I don't know if that's because they snitched or what, but that's going on. He's leaving. Not too big of a deal. Just means that we're probably gonna have to attack him right after he leaves, because he's quite weak, and that's a lot of points, kind of with little opposition. So that's what we're doing here. We're moving some troops to Warsaw in order to then use his airport and locate our troops in his homeland cities, and then we can conquer them and take out half of his production or so. We're probably going to take the empty cities first and then move on to the next with the help of our strikers. He is also not leaving troops on the cities he has conquered, so Rogue is going to appear, and he also hasn't moved any further into Ukraine, so that makes me doubt his competency. Message Canada, since we got rejected by the Asians, see if anything happens here, because he's already in Finland, as we can see, and maybe we can work together. Maybe we can kill Sweden or something, and then we take his spot. Fast forward a little bit, we are able to move on from the cities in Belarus, and we also finished taking the Baltic countries. So as you can see, we're at 30% morals, and the city's still smoking, so we have to leave some units, or else Rogue is gonna take it. Once the city stops smoking, then you can take out the units you have there. Like we had seen Belarus, everything is calm now. There's no smoke anymore. The best way to get morale to increase fast is to have the least amount of wars open, to reduce the amount of civilian casualties you cause, which you make that with artillery or airstrikes, and lastly, to conquer the provinces around the city. We're also taking over here Slovakia, because since we're gonna move on Germany next, hopefully in the morning when all these troops arrive to the to the border cities, we can start our offensive. We can also give a break our strikers and let them heal. We are, as we can see, building a level 3 army base. That's for our SAMs coming up that they're researching. I also want to talk about the buildings a little bit. Let's look at the bunkers, for example. This is going to protect your population, which in turn is what increases the resources in each city. The hospital, again, the higher level, the faster your units are going to heal. Arms industry, as you can see, the higher the level, again, the more boost in production you're going to have. Then you have the army base, and then air base that just like lets you mobilize better aircraft or land units. If we go, for example, also to stealth aircraft, which is really later down the road, we see that they have much more damage. However, for those, you also need, on top of the level 5 airbase, you also need the secret weapons lab. And then again, I won't touch it in too much because we're not there yet. You also need a high level secret weapons lab in order to have nukes. regarding Canada, they go back to us. They want to work with us. Apparently, they gave us right of way. We're not gonna give it to them because that's really also an opening to be attacked. You know, they can just use your airport to attack you from within. So we're not gonna do that. We don't really need his help at the moment. Romania also stopped leaving. I kind of told him not to. Didn't want to fight him because that's gonna look bad for my potential allies. Um, kind of told China that Afghanistan was weak and that was the wrong call. He basically told him, if you change your mind, let us know. But we're still gonna work our diplomacy with the other coalitions, see what happens. I really would like to join them because they're the strongest one. It will be easier to win that way. But if we have to join Blood and Glory, we will. So you can see, if you compare the level, the stats, you and the buildings too. He's just finishing his level 2 buildings for the army bases. You can kind of see what's going on behind the curtain. Let's look at the research for a second. As I said, we're doing the same, and Nets is our rocket launcher. However, we are gonna pace ourselves. We're not gonna research it yet because we need the level 4 army base. So once that's building, we're gonna research it. Another quick thing I wanted to look at was our ships. As we can see, we have two now, so we are able to protect our coastal cities from any, like infantry that wants to be sneaky about it. However, we really need to increase our production of components. Maybe I can start a third ship here soon. We really want to get to those cities so we can start destroyers that do 8 damage against ships, when compared to the frigate, which is only 6. That's really going to be our naval power. Alright, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the invasion of Germany.